LiveScan means electronic fingerprinting, where you're going to transmit out the fingerprints electronically to a government entity, where you're going to print out the fingerprints on a hard card, typically on the FD258 ink card, or you're going to store the fingerprints in the system. This could be for law enforcement agencies where the case may be, but overall, LiveScan just means electronic fingerprinting. So when people tell you can't do live scans in your state, or you could do live scan in your state, it's a yes or no answer to that one there. And I'm getting a lot of people saying, well, is my state open or closed for doing fingerprinting? All states do live scan. There's somebody in that state doing live scan. It might not be you, but there's some agency in your state right now doing live scans. So just because they say the word closed, just be careful of that there. Just because you may not be able to transmit fingerprints from a live scan device to your state agency, you still may be able to do live scan transmit to a different entity while you're in your state for a different reason. So just understand that. Live scans, we don't ask about us about what is open and closed state, because all states do live scan. And just because you might be in a state where the state may not give you the contract to be the state provider for live scans for the state, you still may be able to have some type of relationship with that contractor who's transmitting fingerprints to that state you reside in. Or you might have some type of government contract or some type of agreement with a different entity where you're able to transmit fingerprints out of state for different reasons. Heck, every state has an airport, I hope. TSA, law enforcement agencies, on the airport, especially flying international, they're going to take your fingerprints. So it's in a live scan. So just throw out the word closed states and open states, because sometimes it's misleading or can be confusing. You just got to figure out for yourself. If you want to say you do live scans in your state, you just got to determine what part of this you're referring to, and are you able to do it for your particular state. Some states may not allow you to transmit to them. Some states may allow you to transmit fingerprints to them for a background check for an applicant in that state. And some states may allow you just to store the fingerprints for other reasons, or the agency you work with. But just keep in mind, when you're starting a live scan business for next year, or you're trying to scale your business for the current year, or even for the following year, you need to understand what the word live scan means to begin with. And once you understand that process, then the next thing you determine, when people say live scan to you, what do you think about? So right now, I'm just trying to get you folks to open up your minds to understand this different outcomes, scenarios, the word live scan. When people call us up, or you see people inquiring about live scan, you may be thinking, well, they're doing a live scan. You might reside in Arizona. Well, a lot of folks say they do live scan, which they do, but they're still printing out on ink cards. They capture fingerprints electronically, and they print out the fingerprints on ink card. It's still a live scan process, but the end result is the applicant leaves with a fingerprint card in their hand. Or you might be in California, where a person can do a live scan on a device and transmit to the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice is in charge of the live scan providers here in California for the civilian applicants. Okay, so you need a vision first. What do you really want to do? You might be thinking of ink cards. They might tell you they do live scan at the office, but they're printing out the ink cards. You want to do the same thing. But really, you're inquiring on doing ink card fingerprinting for your location or for your particular state. But they may call it live scan because they got the live scan machine and they just pushing the print button afterwards to print out the ink cards. So you need to understand, what do you really want to do? When you say live scan and you hear it, what are you visioning about? Are you thinking about transmitting to fingerprints to a different state agency? Or are you referring to when the applicant walks out their office with ink cards in their hand? All right. And why? Why do you want to do this here? What is your why? What's the reason behind you trying to get involved in a different endeavor to go forward from there? Why do you want to do it? Is it for additional income for your organization, additional income for your family, or the fact you just love fingerprinting, you want to do it all the time, just want to do it for free? Or the fact you saw some YouTube video where they tell you how much money they made in X amount of days, and you could do the same thing, just like they did, make all this money overnight. Most cases, that's not going to happen. So are you falling. What's your why? Because you see some hype video out there. Or the secrets of this or that. Here's the secret sauce of that. Just be careful. Do your due diligence. Find out the reasons why you want to do it. Understand what is the fingerprinting. Understand what do you want to offer to the public and what the public is asking for. But you need to find out also what's your why behind it. Because sometimes fingerprinting is not as fun as people say it is or act like it really is. It's a lot of work. You can have those days, sometimes you get those special customers where you just want to communicate with them using sign language. I ain't saying fighting. I'm choosing the word sign language. Sign language. But you will have some customers like that. Sometimes get the best customers out there and they come to you, but their fingerprints ran away either for another half hour or more if you want to spend that much time with them to capture the best print possible. Or you can give them extra services, or you can give them less of a service because the prints are hard to find. You just want them out the door if you could focus on the other folks in line trying to get fingerprinted or calling you inquire about your fingerprinting services. But what's your why? What's your mental state behind it? You need a good reason why to make sure you do this. Don't do it because it's just the next thing you saw online and you think it's a good, quick thing. Then this is not for you. It won't be fair for the applicants out there, the customers or organizations who need this service. And you're just doing it now because you heard some type of hype online and through somebody else how so-called easy it is all the time. It's fun, but if you're doing as long as we have, I've been fingerprinting since I was 17 years old. I joined the Army when I was 17 years old, just a few years ago. So it's not as, I was military police, law enforcement. So it's not as what people say it is all the time. Just be aware of that. And what's your expectations? Now, I'm not trying to tell you not to start a fingerprint business or LiveScan business. I'm just trying to tell you how to start a fingerprint business or LiveScan business for 2022. And it's all about your mindset and your determination and your understanding of the industry. Those are the key components about that. Really take that to heart. So what are your expectations? Are you expecting to get $10,000 every time you do a mobile service? Are you expecting to get all these customers bamming down your door the next day because they realize you have some flyers, some car wash put up there? What are your expectations? Just because you went to some place and they may charge you, say, $120 for a live scan, and you're thinking, heck, they charged me $120. I could make $120 too doing the same thing, just 10 minutes of work. But really, maybe most of that money is not going to the applicant, not going to the LiveScan provider. Maybe majority that's going to the government entity who's requiring that service. Or perhaps they're working through a third party where they might be making maybe $3 or $4 if they're lucky, fingerprinting, but yet the person that actually owns the systems has the contract with the organizations. They just give you like a small snippet of the bigger pie. So just understand what's going on out there. What are your expectations? What do you want to get from this? Is it realistic? Are they achievable? Are you in position to make it work? Will you have a team with you? How are you going to share expectations? And just because you have expectations doesn't mean you're going to achieve them. You know, everybody expects to be a multimillionaire one day, but it's half the folks, most of the world, stay in their butt all day and don't do the things that need to get done to get to that level or strive to that level. So what are your expectations, and are you positioned, and are you willing, capable, and able to make it happen? LiveScan machines, how much they cost? How come I can't get it for free? I saw something on YouTube where I saw a LiveScan machine for $9.99, $9.99. I bought one for $100 off of eBay. We hear this all the time. Matter of fact, there's one guy who called us up first. We tried to share with him what he might expect for a LiveScan device, but we told him he could not do LiveScan transmissions to his state for what he was trying to do. He found some machine on eBay for $100 and called me up. Mr. Cool Guy JW, guess what? I bought myself a LiveScan device and they told me I could buy it in my state, and I bought it. So what you doing with it? Says the paperweight. So I cannot transmit to my state like you said. Yes, this agency sold me a machine, but I can't use it in my state anyway, and I don't even need it. I don't want it. I thought I could transmit to my state. Well, did you ask them this? Well, no. They said I could purchase it and they send it to me. You get what you ask for. Do your homework, do your due diligence, and make sure you're financially prepared. So don't try to go out there and get the cheapest LiveScan machine out there if you're able to use it in your state. Do your homework. It's not just because you bought yourself a cheap car, doesn't mean it's going to run all day. Do your homework, pay and invest in your business. Are you able to invest in your business? Do you know the price range for LiveScans for the type of LiveScan you want to do in the market? You might have seen something online, an old article, it might cost X amount of dollars, but this is 2 or 3 years later on or during COVID-19, the price is a big difference right now. And just because you find a machine online, don't buy it. In most cases, if you plan to do live scans in your state and your state allows it, they will have vendors to choose from. And those vendors have approved software from that state and approved machines to be used in that particular state to transmit to that particular state you reside in. Same thing with the laptops. So just be aware when you invest in the live scan of business, you need to know how much you're going to pay just to have the hardware to start doing it in your particular state. Then there's upgrades or add-ons too that you might or might not want to have. You need to be aware of all this here, and if so, are you able to pay for it? Is it worth your business? You might want to do this part-time 1 day a month, but here you invest into $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 machine. Some machines cost over 10 grand. Just to fingerprint 1 day a week, it mightn't be the best business model for you. You might want to look into doing ink cards or something like that, where you actually manually fingerprint them, hand them to them, versus buying a live scan device to print out on ink cards or to transmit to your state for maybe 4 or 5 people a month because you want to do live scan. What's your reason behind that? What's your why? And are you in position to invest financially? Or are you in position to lose your investment? Financial impact. So understand those particular things right there and know what's really going on. All right, then. Oh, we got jokes out there about the sign language, and that's right. We have those certain people out there that get unique with their personalities out there. I like to call them live scan Karens and live scan Kens. Now, if your name is Karen and Ken, not like this, I'm not referring to you. It's just what their norm is out there today. The world is calling certain folks for very special behaviors out there. They had names in the past. They keep changing names over the course of time, depending what type of or what time we're in right here. Another thing is, if you're able to do live scans in your state, and you know you can, you need to find out what's or who is the government agency for you in your particular state to transmit to your state. You need to find out who that is. Now, there are states out there where people are able to do live scans and transmit to their state. And now you're thinking that you could do the same thing because they're doing it. There are states out there, they may be able to temporarily stop giving out licensing or permissions or authority where you could transmit to them for different reasons out there. So also keep that in mind, because what you see today might not be the story tomorrow, or it could be the opposite around, where you went to somebody's website. For example, I think it was Maryland this month, what I noticed was the last month, where I noticed their site was telling folks that although people in the state provide live scan services for the state, currently the state told them they can't do it. They're no more accepting applications at this time for different reasons. I don't find out why, but it happens like that. So if you're in a particular state and you're able to do live scans in that state for that state and it says okay, start the paperwork process. Get your paperwork in. Some states may take you a couple of days to be up and running. Some states might take you a couple of months or a year, depending what's going on. Or it might seem like a year. I know folks who got the LiveScan device up and running within a week doing transmissions for the particular state. I know folks in the same state got the LiveScan device a year later on to start transmitting to their particular state. things happen. So how you start a LiveScan fingerprint business? Understand what LiveScan is, and what comes to your mind when people say LiveScan, and what's your reason behind it? Why do you want to do it? Is it a good reason to get you to succeed in the business there? Are you in position financially to pay for a LiveScan device or finance it if they offer those services to you? And who's the state agency for your particular state you need to contact to get the current information from? Now, we get calls a lot from the association. People call us a lot. We share information with them, depending on the scenario of the question, what type of question it is. But we also would tell them to always contact the local government entity or agency that's in charge of fingerprinting for that particular state. All we know is what we learned from the day before, but things change all the time. How to start a LiveScan business? Be proactive, take action, do your due diligence, be prepared, and make it happen.